Alright, so hello YouTube. Today we'll be making a video answering all the frequently asked questions that I get on stream. I think I answered some of these questions about like 400 times on stream the past couple of days. So I'm gonna make this video just in case so that I don't have to burn my voice again. So as you know, for Honkai Star Rail, whenever you make a new account and you finish a couple of the tutorial quests, you unlock the summon system, which is clearly what all gacha players want, obviously. So the first banner you get access to is the beginner banner, the departure warp, which is the name of the banner. For this banner, it's a 20% discount, so you use 8 costs for 10 summons, and you are guaranteed to get 1 5-star after you finish the 50 warps here. Obviously, you can get the 5-star earlier and you can stop there, or you can continue to pull the entire banner because it is a 20% discount, so you have a chance to get different 4 stars or different light cones, right? Light cones are essentially weapons if you play Genshin, so yeah. So now, for which character to re-roll for, my honest take currently would be Bailu, even though I don't like the idea of re-rolling for Bailu because there's another healer coming soon, so they will be better. But for now, there's only 2 healers in the game, which is Bailu and Natasha. And you're gonna have to need 2 teams to play the Spiral Abyss equivalent of Honkai Star Rail and Genshin, which is called the Hall of Trials. You need 2 teams anyways, so you're gonna need 2 healers. If you want a comfy time for like another 40-50 days or so, whenever the fucking character comes out. Oh no, this is not a leak. We know the 3rd healer. You can play him in the story quest in chapter 2. Alright, if you don't want to get Bailu as a healer, then my choice, I would like Yanqing, Himiko, or Clara, which is the damage dealer. Gepard, Bronya, and Wealth has their usage, but they're more, I'd say, niche-ish, or more so like they require a certain playstyle to be played normally. Yanqing is a DPS whose main mechanic is that he has a lot of free crit rate. So what he does is whenever he uses his ability, his skill, he gets 1 stack of Soul Steel Sync. When he has the stack, he gains 15 crit rate, 15 crit damage. This scales higher the higher you level his talent. And he has a 50% chance to follow up another attack. And this ability can hit multiple times, so he becomes a really good single target damage dealer. However, the problem is, he has to never get hit. Because if he gets hit, the buff is gone. You can circumvent this issue by putting a shield on him with March. That kind of works, but March shield puts a provoke on him because whoever March put a shield on, they have a greater chance of being attacked by enemy. So I don't really know if you want to use that. That's kind of like a weird combination. So how does this work? He is a good damage dealer with a lot of free crit rate, crit damage, if he is never targeted by enemies. If he is hit by an AoE attack from the enemy, well, there goes your buff. It's gone, right? But he is strong, okay? He is strong. So, your combination with Yanqing would be you run Yanqing and you run the fire main character. Because the fire main character gives your entire team a shield every turn, which is good. When you start the game, your main character would be destruction and not preservation. Your main character will be physical damage. You get the fire version by completing the level 25 main quest. Yeah, there we go. So that is Yanqing. Okay, so Gepard, his passive, if he dies, he doesn't. 1 time, right? If he dies, he doesn't. He stand back up. He's a tank. He looks cool, right? His ultimate is he gives the entire team a giant shield for 3 turns. This shield is much bigger than the main character's shield. However, you need to ult for the shield. And his skill is a 65% chance, base chance, to freeze enemy for 1 turn. This sounds cool. It sounds like a cool concept for a tank, stunning enemy. However, I don't know why MiHoYo does this, but every boss above level 70 is either resistance or immune to freeze. So he kind of loses 1 ability. You can still freeze mini-bosses and most enemies, so that's still good. Some mini-bosses are really hard-hitting, so freezing mini-bosses are cool. But final bosses, they're kind of immune or resistance, which isn't particularly a bad thing, because if you get to that point, Gepard can just spam basic attack to generate skill points for his DPS to use their skill instead. But if that's the case, why not just use fire main character? Because fire main character basic attack hits all enemy. You know, so it's just better. I guess. You can also unlock all of the constellation of the fire main character for free. So he's just the better tank. And the last one. This is where everyone is gonna shit on me and hate on me for this. But like, I played Bronya to beat all content during the beta test. And I'm gonna tell you this. I don't think Bronya is the best support in the game. Now hear me out, okay? Her ult is definitely good. Her ult is strong. It's very strong. But her skill, the issue that goes with Bronya is her skill. But, you know, ignore the bonus effect here. The bonus effect here is if you wail and somehow you get bonus Bronya constellation. Essentially what happens is when you play Bronya, you use her E, it costs 1 skill point. It dispels a debuff from an ally, gives them a turn, and increase their damage for 1 turn, right? Which sounds good, but when you put it into practice, you want to use your skill on Bronya, and then use your skill on your damage dealer, right? You use Bronya's skill on Sealy, and you use Sealy's skill to do a lot of damage, right? That's the cookie cutter combo. However, if you put it into practice, you realize Bronya eats a lot of energy as a support because she has to consistently use her E to buff an ally. So that's minus 1 skill point every turn. And if you don't use your E, you don't generate enough ult charge to use your ult, which is your big buff, right? So in a normal team, if you have like, let's say Bronya, Sealy, a healer, and maybe another debuffer, or like another damage dealer, right? Assuming Bronya and Sealy always use their skill for maximum damage, your healer and your 4th character are the one generating the particles for you, right? The one generating the skill points for you, right? That would put you at 0 skill point every turn. So that's why, in my opinion, I think Bronya is a really very expensive buffer in terms of skill point cost. And I prefer Tingyun more. So let me explain what Tingyun does. Tingyun's skill puts an attack buff on an ally. And that ally also deals another instance of damage, dealing lightning damage, okay? So if Tingyun would to buff Sealy, Sealy will do quantum damage and lightning damage. And this damage can critically strike. So if Sealy has very high crit rate and crit damage, she will crit with quantum damage and crit with lightning damage, right? And on top of that, when she buffs an ally, herself will do more damage. She will also use that ally attack on her own. And this buff lasts 3 turns, so Tingyun only has the buff once every 3 turns. She buffed once, and her other 2 turns, she used her normal attack. And her normal attack will steal the ally that she buffed damage to add to her own. So she also does more damage on her own, right? So overall, you have more value. You use 1 skill point every 3 turns, and you do more damage overall. Because Bronya will barely auto-attack unless you want to not buff your ally. That's why I think Tingyun is better. And Tingyun's ult will give an ally half their ultimate back and give them a damage boost for 2 turns, right? So you can use this on a healer so that the healer can AoE heal again. Use this on a DPS so they ult twice, stuff like that, right? The comparison would be Bronya has the better buff, like the better buff 100% because of the crit damage buff, right? However, she's very expensive in skill point. If she doesn't use her skill and only normal attack, she's gonna take too long to generate her ult. If you use her skill every turn, then it's going to be very costly for your team. That's why I prefer Tingyun. Even if her buff is weaker, she's more consistent and cheaper. Because your main goal is your main DPS will use their skill every single turn for damage. Yeah? That is my take for the what character to reroll for the starter banner. So I would take a healer or a damage dealer. Okay? So Yanqing, Himiko, or Clara.